The UN Human Rights Chief has warned that the conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo risks spreading and the worst violence may yet be to come. Volker Turk was speaking at an emergency session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva. Rwandan-backed M23 fighters took the city of Goma last week. There are reports of widespread human rights abuses, including sexual violence and the recruitment of child soldiers. Let's speak now to our Africa correspondent, Barbara Plett-Usher, who's in Nairobi. Barbara, hello to you. There have been hopes that the presidents of the respective countries, DRC and Rwanda, could get together and have talks that might lead to an end to this conflict. Is there any further development on that?
Yes, there is a special summit planned for tomorrow, Saturday. It's organized by two African regional groupings, the East African Community and the Southern African Community. And both leaders have said they will attend. So if they both go in person, that would be quite a moment, because it's been very hard to get them around the same table in the past months. But we're not clear whether the Congolese leader will attend in person or whether he'll attend virtually. And there have already been two emergency summits, one by the East African Community and one by the Southern African one. And now they're bringing their forces together to again try to address this conflict, because the concern is growing that it is going to escalate. And there is a concern that it escalates beyond the borders of the Democratic Republic of Congo, not to mention the great damage it has already done, the people who've been killed, the interruption to services, the humanitarian crisis. So there is pressure from the concerns of the region. Also, you heard that you mentioned the UN official there at the Human Rights Council, the UN Secretary General. They've all got this same warning that things could get much worse. Whether that leads to some kind of resolution seems to me unlikely, given the dynamics, but maybe the hope is that there could be a ceasefire and the talks could continue.
On the substance that the two leaders might get into, whether they attend in person or virtually, I mean, what would be the starting point, do you think, for those discussions in terms of trying to actually at least reach a ceasefire?
Yeah, that's a good question, because they're very far apart. So the Rwandans, the Democratic Republic of Congo accuses Rwanda of backing these rebels, saying that it has invaded the country with thousands of its troops to provide them military support and weapons. In fact, there is evidence for that in a UN report, that Rwanda is actively engaged, although the Rwandans have never admitted that that's the case. What they say is that they are doing whatever it takes to protect their border. But what their position is that this is a Congolese problem. This is a Congolese civil war. And they need to talk to each other. The Congolese government needs to talk to the rebels. That is something that it has some support for from some African countries. The Congolese, on the other hand, are absolutely against that. They say this isn't about the rebels. It's not about the M23 rebels. Those are the puppets. We want to speak essentially to the puppet master, is how you might want to phrase it. They haven't used that word, but they don't want to be speaking to a force that they feel is not really directing things on the ground. They've also designated them as terrorists. So I don't know if you can bring those two things together. What the Congolese have said is that what they're going to be asking for at this meeting is sanctions against Rwanda, a call for all unwanted foreign forces to leave, and for a formal ceasefire. So it's unclear how you might get to that ceasefire. Certainly, it's not clear at all that there could be a deeper resolution behind that now. But I think the concern right now is to stop the advance of the rebels and to stop the violence long enough to try to get some talks going.
And briefly, Barbara, is the rebel group, the M23 fighters, are they saying anything?
They have not really been talking about the summit. No, they are not involved in the peace process. As I said, the Congolese don't accept them as an interlocutor. What they have been saying is about their military advance. They have taken over Goma. They have started to put an administration in place. They are continuing to advance further south. And the leadership says, and it's a rebel alliance, actually, of which the M23 is a part, they say we want to go all the way to Kinshasa. We want to overthrow the Congolese government.
OK, Barbara, thank you very much. Barbara Plett-Usher in Nairobi.